Okay, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about editing some images. This is kind of for my bloggers, so they can edit some images in their blogs. This is also just anyone else who's just interested in doing a little graphic editing or picture editing. I use a program called Gimp. It's very similar to Adobe Photoshop, except for the fact that it's free. So that's fantastic. So if you go to gimp.org, you can download the latest version and you can get right going on it. So let's get started. Once you have Gimp downloaded, you can open it up. This is what it'll look like. You have some windows on the left here and some windows on the right. And then I'm going to go ahead and open a picture. So I have a picture saved on my desktop here. This is a picture of Rhonda. So I got my list here. So the things that I want to cover are, I want to talk to you about scaling images, some cropping with boxes, adding some words to your pictures, talk a little bit about layers and opacity. So the first thing we want to talk about is scale. So at the top, it tells you what the size of your image is. So this is 4,128 pixels wide by 2,322 pixels tall. Now that's a huge image. Because I took it with a really nice camera and it's a really high quality image. But to put it on a website or to use it, it's not really, that's way too big. So we want to scale it down. So for the Faith Victory website, generally my wide images, they're about 1,000. So if I scale it down to 1,000, it's going to make it smaller. And so there it is. Now, and I use the mouse wheel to scroll in once it's smaller to make it a little bigger. So that's made our image a little bit more manageable. Now the other thing about the Faith and Victory website is the way we've designed it is kind of really skinny, wide images, and so for example, if I wanted to have the same style as the rest of the website, I would use the entire width of this image, but I would use about half the height. And so to do that, I use my little box tool over here. This one over here in the top left corner. And then I left click and I hold it and then I drag it across. And then once you have it in place, then you can adjust it with the little boxes on the side. And that will allow you to kind of move it around. Then once I have the new image that I want out of the big image, I go to image and I hit crop, and that gets me my crop to selection. And so now I've got my new skinny image. And so the next thing I want to do is I want to add some words. So I click on the A button, that's to add text. I click somewhere in the picture, and that brings me up a little dialogue, and then I start typing. So I'm going to type in youth worship. Now, because I had blue before, it starts typing in blue. But if I want to change that, I just double click on the words and then click on the little color palette there. And so let's make it green. Sure. Now it's green. And the other thing I can do is I can go over here and click on Sans. Sans is a font type, and then we'll make it Courier bold, and then I can make it bigger. So, bigger. I can make it bold, and then the last thing I can do is I can move it around. So kind of play with it and adjust it where you want. Over here you can kind of justify it to how you want it in your box. Sometimes you want it on the left, sometimes you want it on the right, and sometimes it's easier to put it in the middle. So there you go, youth worship. Now lastly, we want to talk about layers and opacity. So over here on the right are our layers, and layers is exactly what it sounds like. We're making layers in an image. And so if you were to stack two pieces of paper on top of each other, you would only see the top piece of paper. But if the top piece of paper had holes in it, like Youth Worship does, it's only the text, you would see Youth Worship on the top, and then you would see everything, you would see the piece of paper below it, which is what we've done with this. We've stacked text on top of a picture. Now, I want to go ahead and I want to add an additional layer. I'm just going to call that layer. And it's now between Youth Worship and our picture, but I want to put it on the bottom. So I put it on the bottom, and I'm going to, let's just keep it blue. So I'm going to select our bottom layer, and I'm going to click the bucket, which is to fill. And that doesn't do anything because our picture is completely covering up our blue square here. So what I'm going to do is go to picture, and opacity is how much bleeds through from one layer to the next. So I'm going to start to mess with the opacity, and that, as you can see, makes the picture with Rhonda in it blue because it's blue below. And so if we go all the way to 0, then everything goes through. If we go all the way to 100%, then nothing goes through. And so, you know, you kind of have to adjust it, see how you want it to look. And there you go. That's kind of our beginner intro to editing graphics and kind of making it the size you want and using layers.